everyone, and welcome back. We're here today with a brand new start to the week, a brand new week of Cabral concepts. Really glad to have you with me here today on this Mindset and Motivation Monday, episode 1977 of the Cabral Concept Podcast. And the topic of the day is taking you through 7 life-changing, life-transforming questions that I really want you to sit down, take the time to ask yourself. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, give it a once over, give it a listen through. And then the absolute best thing to do would be to write down the questions if you're not in your car right now, or just go back and listen to the podcast again later, this time actually taking the time to answer these questions. But if you're in the car, if you're doing something else, answer the questions in your head, because it's going to give you a head start on where you might need to make the biggest changes in your life in order to improve overall happiness, your overall health, and just your enjoyment as you begin to move through life, because this is going to teach you more about what you're passionate about, what you don't want to be doing, and who you might not be spending the right time with. So again, always excited to be able to do these shows. Again, today's going to be a fun one, and here's why. One of the reasons why I believe it is just when I begin to go through this material, I really feel like as I'm looking at it myself and I'm deciding on what I really want to talk about to all of us, our community, I look at posts that I know will make me a better person, that will transform me in a better way, that will at the end of my life leave me with less regrets. And the thing is, you get to fix those things now if you think about the end, right? If you think about it in a positive manner, just say, hey, what type of dad do I want to be? What type of husband do I want to be? And these types of questions are big questions. And these are today's questions that go beyond what I just mentioned right there, but really look at your life at a much larger and much more holistic picture. So let's get right into these questions. All right. There are 7. The last 2 are the most important, but we need to work through the first 5 to be able to get to those. So again, like I said, life transforming questions here. The first one is this. It's, who do you spend time with? Now, this might seem like a really strange question, because you might say, well, I spend time 8 hours a day at work, and then I spend time with my partner and my kids. Okay, and again, those are good answers to those questions. But specifically, who at work? And I would even say more specifically, who do you choose to spend your free time with? Because it's very interesting. When we look at many people throughout history, again, I think Napoleon Hill probably made this most famous, saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I mean, Jim Rohn has said that. Zig Ziglar has said that. Many, many people have said that. Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill, and many more people before that, right? So here's what I want to share with you, though. Like, if this is the first time you've heard that, why does that matter? Why does that make a difference? And the main reason is this. It's really been well documented, and you can look at this through neuroscience, you can look at this through behavioral-based science, but we take on a lot of the traits and a lot of the energy and a lot of the feelings and a lot of the actions from our peer group, from the people that we choose to spend our time with. Or maybe we don't choose it, but we're having meaningful conversations with them. They're sharing things with us. And I'll tell you right now, that energy is contagious. I shared this group with our IHP Mastery class. We have a kind of a 3rd level to IHP, and it's called Mastery. And it's really about transforming your life in the lives of your clients from a much deeper perspective. I mean, it goes beyond life coaching. Life coaching kind of has some strange connotations to it, although obviously a great thing. It's not always viewed in the best light, is because there's no standard to what it is. But when you look at it as a whole, and again, holistically, which means the sum of all the parts, you want to take everything into consideration. We have to understand is that we are influenced by essentially everything within our environment, unless we've learned to build up a great resistance to what we see as we start to become a little bit more enlightened. So simply put, let me just give you a couple examples. If you are around people that you mainly hang out with and you're drinking alcohol, consuming alcohol, and you wouldn't ever hang out with them unless you were consuming alcohol, and you're trying to stop consuming alcohol because you're trying to get healthy, get rid of your autoimmune issues, lose body fat, whatever it might be, whatever your goals are, get healthier, improve your sleep, well, it's going to be difficult to continue to hang around those same people when alcohol is involved. Now, it doesn't mean get rid of all these people, but it's simply today is not about giving you the answers. Today is about opening up and really asking those questions. I do have a previous podcast. We'll try to link that up at episode 1977 today. So you can just go over to stephencabral.com/1977. And I have an older podcast, and it's about taking a sabbatical for about 3 weeks or so, up to 6 weeks, from certain friends and family. Those people that you might need to take a break from, not permanently, you love them, right? You want to be friends with them. You want, them to be a part of your family, but you might need a little break as you begin to work on you. I'm going to link up that show for you here today. But think about it, good or bad. I've made huge strides and breakthroughs in life when I started hanging around groups of people that helped me transform my health, body transformation, no doubt about it. You hang around people who love to exercise, who love to work out, who love to eat well. It's contagious. You want to do more of the same, right? Because they're going to check in on you. Hey, did you go to the gym this week? No, I missed it. And they're going to give you a hard time in a good way, if they're good friends, part of that peer group, or you just won't fit in and you want to fit into something healthy, right? So at the same token, you don't want to fit into something that's unhealthy for you. So just think about it. All right, the second question is the bad experience a challenge in your life within your control? Something to ask yourself, because sometimes it's not. So sometimes we get overly concerned, overly worried about things that may happen in the future that aren't even currently happening, that you are worried about and also aren't in your control. So, for example, a good one is this, and this I've never really shared this story, but this is kind of a funny one, and it's lighthearted. Again, there's much more challenging ones than this. But many years ago, when my wife and I were getting married, one of the things that you hope for on your wedding day, if it's an outdoor wedding, ours was an outdoor wedding, you hope that it's good weather. Okay, ours just happened to be torrential downpours, not rain, torrential downpours the whole day before, and essentially up to about 5 minutes before my wife and I were ready to walk out for our wedding ceremony. And long story short, it ended up being a beautiful but hot and humid day. But it was a great nonetheless. But all of family, people are praying that the rain stops, and it did. Ultimately, we delayed the ceremony just a bit, and we were able to have that ceremony outside. But at the same time, again, this is lighthearted. But people are worrying about 6 months in advance. Will this happen? Will that not happen? The weather is difficult to control. You can control things like a job promotion. You can control things like losing weight. You can control things. You can control to your degree, right? So you're going to work your hardest, but you can't worry about that end decision. You set your mind to it. You visualize it. You take action. You believe. And then after that, not as much in your control. But you have to believe that good is going to happen, or potentially something even better in its own way. So just ask yourself, is what you were worried about even within your control? And if it's not, then you have to have faith that you'll make it through. The third one is this. What does your ideal day look like? I love this one. By the way, these questions, not all of them, but these questions for the most part are from Stoicism. And the Daily Stoic is a group online too on Instagram that I do like to follow as well, just for these types of quotes, because they make me stop and think. And again, this is Stoicism that has been written about now for hundreds of years, potentially thousands of years. And so when we look at this question, what does your ideal day look like? I ask this to everyone that I do mastery with, and here's why: a lot of people are upset about their days, right? They're unhappy at work. They're unhappy with their body. They're unhappy with their health. They're unhappy with their family. Things aren't going well. And I get it, because I've been there. I was there for a lot of years, right? And the problem is this. I ask them, well, what would a great day look like? And when I ask them that, they're completely caught off guard. Typically, there's a strong 30 seconds of silence, because they've never thought about it. If you don't know what your ideal day looks like, you don't know what you're working towards. So you're simply going through the motions of one bad day after another, right? If you don't know what a great relationship looks like, what are you working towards? If you don't know what great health looks like, Your perfect body, not the perfect body, yours, for you. Spirituality, right? Your ideal career, not somebody else's, not mine, right? Not your friends. What does the ideal day look for you? And then again, superimpose that for any topic you'd like. Relationship, right? People are like, I just can't find the right relationship. Or, my partner and I are having a lot of difficulties, you might say. Okay, well, what would it look like if you weren't? How would things be going if it were ideal? Now you have something to work towards, and you can even have that discussion with your partner. Number 4 is this. Question number 4 is, what am I missing by choosing to worry or be afraid? So I look at this a little bit different. And again, I have the pleasure of working with kind of both sides of the equation. I work with thousands and thousands of private health clients every year with our EqualLife team. And then I work with thousands of our integrative health practitioners. So I kind of get to see it from both sides, the practitioner side and the private wellness client side. And a lot of times people are making situations worse than they are, and they're holding themselves back from being great. I just want to repeat that one more time. People are oftentimes visualizing circumstances worse than they are and holding them back from truly being great. So if you think about it, like maybe you are having a difficult time in your relationship. We'll just stick with that topic here for today. So you're having a difficult time, but at the same time, you might be like, well, the difficulty is really with this one area. Every other area might be great, but you have a sticking point on one particular area in your relationship. So because of that, you view the whole relationship as not working when it's one particular area, right? But that one particular area, by also not addressing it necessarily with your partner or spouse, could be holding you back from a greater experience. And just overcoming that one obstacle could allow you to move forward and have a happy, flourishing relationship. And even if you talk about it and you disagree, can you disagree amicably and just say, listen, we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one. It's okay. We still love each other. Let's move on. That's it. You can have differences and still be in a great relationship. That's a big part of it. So just think about it. What are you missing out on by being worried, afraid, or making a big deal out of something that maybe doesn't need to be as big of a deal? If anything pops in your mind, write it down. Number 5 is this, before we get to those last two. What is the most important thing? I love this question. It goes back to the ideal day. If you don't know what success looks like, it's impossible to hit it. You have no target. You'll never be successful in anything. And I don't say that negatively. I say that because I want you to be successful. So in order for you to be successful, you have to have a target. You have to have a goal. I would love you to go back and listen to my podcast on SMART goal setting. We'll try to link that up today at episode 1977, StephenCabral.com/1977. All right. Really important. So I realized a long time ago, many, many years ago, I love what I do for work. Love what I do. I really do. I joke around a lot and say, like, there's only 2 things that I do. It's my family and my work, right? I mean, I do other things as well. Like, I love to exercise. I love practicing archery. I love going on hikes, walking, all these different types of things. But, I'm all in on my work. And I have been for a long time now, about 25 years, 20 years or so full time. So when we look at that, we say, okay, like that to me is my most important thing. I love what I do. I love learning and I love teaching, right? I mean, you have to love what you do to put out a daily podcast. I love what I do. I love to teach, right? But I love my family as well. My 2 daughters, I know, and I say this all the time, I have a finite period of time to make sure that I'm their dad. I know I'll always be their dad, but I have a finite period of time to hopefully influence them in a more positive direction until they're 18 years old, or maybe till 13 years old or 14 years old. But I'll never stop trying, of course. But so when I realized that, I like, oh, well, these 2 things are in conflict. My work, that I could travel literally every single week of the year. I could work 16 hours a day. Used to work that long, before I had kids. So what do? Well, you have to know your most important thing. So I realized that my most important thing is my wife, my 2 daughters. So that actually has had me change my schedule in order to be there when they wake up, because I used to leave for work much earlier before they woke up, and to be there for dinner at night. And then, of course, all the whole routine after that as well, and taking the weekends off. So that's my most important thing. And if you don't know your most important thing, well, other things will begin to seep in and move that most important thing down the line. And at that point, it may or may not be too late. So now that we've answered some of these questions, we have to say this, and I love these last two. Is this who I want to be? So you have to look at your life right now, and you just have to ask yourself, is this who I want to be? And there's no right or wrong way to answer that, and it's not based on anything. You literally just ask yourself this question, is this who I want to be? And if something pops up, and you say no, then you need to go deeper. So if I were to say, is this who I want to be? And right away, my mind goes towards, I'm missing dinners with my daughters. I'm never going to get that time back. I can't ask them about their day. They're going to think that their dad's not there for them, whatever it might be, right? Then I would say no, right? I would have to say no. And that's come up before. I mean, I've gotten asked to speak at, and I'm very fortunate, right? Very fortunate, very grateful that I get to be asked to speak at different events and travel all over the country and all over the world. Last year I was in Australia and I was in Germany and I was speaking at events and I was all over the United States and it was great. But that was before, obviously, the pandemic. The pandemic, I realize even more so that although I drastically cut down my travel, and actually I took my daughters to Germany and took my daughters and of course wife to Australia, that I needed to make sure that I always keep the most important thing, the most important thing. And so when I answer this, is this who I want to be? I couldn't say yes maybe 10 years ago, but I can say yes now. And so that's why you have time to change. And the last question is this, and I just kind of led to that. The last question is this: will you do anything about it? And that's a tough question as well. Really tough. Remember, this isn't always an easy podcast. Is this who I want to be? And if the answer is no, am I willing to change? And I hope that the answer is yes. I know it may not be easy because you might say, I don't know what to do next. I'm not going to give you the answers as to what to do next. Those are on previous Mindset and Motivation Mondays. However, if you answer no, but then you're willing to say, yes, I am willing to do something about it. I am willing to change, even if you don't have all the answers, even if you're willing to just take a small action tomorrow, then I have no doubt you are well on your way to creating the exact life that you want for yourself. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you. I truly do. Thank you for all the subscribes. We appreciate that over the past couple of weeks, getting back all of our subscribers after iTunes dropped them all. So if you could subscribe, that would be great. If you'd leave a review, of course, that would be very kind as well. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.